Hello, everyone. How are you doing? This is Damon Osa Cunningham, the Vice President of the HAMA Association, and you are joining me today for HAMA Live, our interview series where we discuss any and everything related to HAMA. We have a very special guest today, the Grand Poobah, the Grand Cheese himself, HAMA President Damon Stith. Damon is a 30-year plus practitioner of martial arts. He's trained in Okinawa. He does capoeira, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Let's just say Damon Stith is a bad dude. Welcome, Damon. How are you?
Man, I'm okay. I'm doing well. Ooh, I hate seeing myself on video.
Okay. All right. Well, guess what? This is going to be a fun-filled day for you, good brother. It's going to be fun. I got a couple good clips of you. I got a couple pictures of some stuff that you're working on, some things that you've done. So, but above all, this is going to be a fun. This is going to be a fun episode of HAMA Live. HAMA President Damon Stith. It's been what 7-8 years now, Damon, that we've been associated here.
Yes,
HAMA folks out there, I've been a long time SCA member, so I do a Benin impression, and one day on Facebook I get this message from this guy, and he's like, "Yo, what's up? I see what you're doing. Like I do the same thing." And I don't know about you, but me personally, I did not know that there were any other people doing what we do out there. I knew they had to be out there, but I didn't think that I'd be able to find them and meet them. So when I got that message from you and I saw your name was Damon too, I was like, wait a minute, what is going on here? So Damon, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been doing martial arts? When did you start doing martial arts, Damon?
Okay, let me rewind back a little bit because
okay. Right.
I gotta air out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So going back to what you said previously, like about there being others of us, kind of doing the same thing. I'm gonna be honest with the world right now. Like in my my various hours spent like researching online, looking for African martial arts, warrior traditions, armor, weapons, I came across a couple of images of this strapping young man wearing Benin hide armor. He had this spear and this looking determination in his face, and I'm like, man, it's like that's a cool brother right there. It's like I need to know what he knows. So I saved a few pictures of the because he made the armor himself. So I'm like, oh man, this is a guy I need to know right here. Like this dude right here, I need to know him. And that started my man crush on Osa.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So when we connected on Facebook, and it was like because this has been like a storm that's been brewing for me, for several years, like more than a decade or so. Like we've been doing like at least my group has done like a start and a stop. Like we'll start a little bit and then it'll kind of peter out. Then we'll start a little bit more and then it'll kind of peter out. But like there was this kind of this watershed moment that happened where it was like there was no other direction to go, and then it's like we made contact and start talking about it a little bit more, and then I made contact with some of the other members of the council, and then we started to really just kind of like push push it. You know what I'm saying? So, most definitely seeing his brother in the armor was big motivation and stuff. And it's always good. Really important for us to have that image out there. It helps to add like fuel to that fire. But
that is true. That is true. That is true, brother. And let me, all right. So we doing word fame here. Okay. All right.
I'm just saying, y'all. Just listen, y'all. I'm just saying, take some time and do a Google search of Benin armor and see what comes up. Y'all tell me.
That is true. That is true. That's true. But try because it's funny you say Google search. So as I'm trying to find pictures of various swords and different things for this broadcast, every time I Googled something, picture you. I Googled Takuba. One, two, three lines down, bam, it's you. I Googled Chattel, it's you. Mbele, here you come. Yeah. So you have done some work. You've gotten what we do, the passion that we have for traditional African fighting and martial arts and military and that stuff, combat systems, and you've put it on a big screen through your research, through your physical experimentation, and your articulation. You can talk about what you do. You don't. I like when you're presenting your reconstructions. You say, this is a reconstruction. This is not necessarily what everybody was doing, but I'm extrapolating, and this is what we're going to work with. And it got you some recognition. One of the first places that I saw that I'm looking for some pictures now. I'm trying to be slick, pull out some pictures. Was
oh gosh.
What was this? Damon, tell us what this was right here.
From the looks of the war room, I would say, and the shortness of my dreads, I would say that is probably season 1 Man at Arms.
Bam! Man at Arms, Art of War on the El Rey Network, hosted by Machete himself, Danny Trejo. Tell us about that experience, Damon.
Man, that was crazy. So the producers, like I remember because I was teaching class, so I'm teaching class, and like we're outside in the park in class, and I get this like weird email, what I'm saying? It's like, hey, we saw you, we saw you, so forth and so on. Would you be interested in being a co-host on this show? And I'm like, okay, co-host, is this legit? And so sure enough, I called them up, and they were on the up and up, and they were like, yeah, we're looking for people who can talk on, these African weapons. And, we did a search, and we happened to find your Mbele video. And that's one of the weapons that they wanted to feature. And so they got me, they brought me down to California, treated me very, very nice. Me and there were other hosts as well, but just they put us up in a hotel, and they had someone pick us up, and everything was catered. Everybody was cool. Danny Trejo was extremely cool. Really, really this laid back, super, super cool. I wasn't gonna do fanboy stuff when I was on set, you know what I'm saying? And everyone's talking to him and chilling and hanging out. But one day during lunch, he's eating. No, it wasn't even lunch. Lunch was over with. You know what I'm saying? He was sitting down talking because he had his crew with him. And it was the last day of filming. And I'm like, hey, Mr. Trejo, can I get a picture with you, right? And my man, sure enough, I got this on my Facebook. He's like, yeah, man. And he's in this pose here. And if you look, there's a piece of cheese in his hand where he was just eating. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? So so everybody was really, really cool. Yeah. Really, really supportive. They were, and I'm happy for myself just because I was asked to be more of a consultant and more of an expert in talking about the weapons. But since the weapons were so exotic, I really got a chance to probably do more than what they would have normally allowed someone to do who wasn't like because they had trained film and film stunt people swing a lot of the weapons. So, but with the shotel and with the kopesh, and I even got to do like the haladi, the Indian weapon, because of whatever they let me get a chance to like showcase that. So I was really
I was looking for some video. There is some video out there of you. I wasn't able to grab it because I would have had to done a little bit too much editing. But brother, you were fierce on the show. You showed your stuff. You were professional. It was sharp. It was sharp. You did your thing on that show.
I was really trying to, because we like I have a stage combat and fight choreography group here in Austin. We've been working for like several decades together, and like when I was on the show, like what my mentality was like like for right now, like my life trajectory could change. You know what I'm saying? Like because I'm a working guy. Like I'm working and trying to support my family and whatever else. So I'm not like banking and rolling or whatever else. But it's like if this gets an opportunity for us to gain more exposure for HAMA, for us as fight choreographers to kind of see this, get a chance to get in, or even for people who are in the film industry to see like this is what it could be. So like I put 110% in everything that I did, especially if they gave me a chance to be in front of the camera and see something. I tried to put everything into that.
I hear that at some point you put a little too much.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see it. Here we go. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, I wasn't going to show the gory pictures. That's gory enough. But I just want everybody out there to know that Damon bleeds for HAMA.
Yeah.
So, tell us about your accident. What happened?
Well, yeah. So again, season 2. This is season 2, and man, they are giving me a whole lot of screen time. Like I mean, like again, like my co-hosts are expert in Chinese martial arts. My co-hosts are the guys that actually made the weapons from Baltimore, Carrie and Matt and Ilya. And then it's like Crystal, and then Marco. Marco is like an action movie star. You can watch his movies. Like it's like being in the room with Scott Adkins or Jean-Claude Van Damme. And this is this is like this ain't a small thing here. And Crystal's on a number of work. These are all professionals.
Yeah.
And Dan Inosanto's daughter, Diana Inosanto, is there. You know what I'm saying? Like they're, and the everything from season 1 is multiplied, exponentially.
Right.
And throughout all that talent that they have, they're giving me more screen time. So like again, my mentality is like, okay, well, last year I went 110. This year I'm going 240. You know what I'm saying? I'm going 240. Then they made the mistake and they're like, okay, so Damon, we want you to do, because it was the Persian Akinakis. Huh?
What weapon was it?
The Persian Akinaki.
Okay.
It's basically it's Persian for I'm gonna kill everything right then there. It's a straight sword, double edge, similar to like a gladius, you know what I'm saying, as far as like the shape. So they're like, hey, they were talking about the Greeks and the Persians, and then demonstrating the way the sword worked. And they're like, the pass off was like, hey, Damon, we want you to do your best Brad Pitt, Achilles impersonation from Troy. And it's like, if anyone who's done fight choreography with me knows that like one of my moves was like the Achilles. Like I do my thing, and I do my run and my jump, and then step off to the side and throw that thrust. So it's like, okay, like you gonna give me a chance to get on screen and do my magic? Okay, so again, did my thing, jumped up and did my thrust, and so two things was working. So I did before that, I did the spear. The Red Viper spear from Game of Thrones, which was another like mistake. It was like, they were like, hey man, you got you a spear. You were the Red Viper. So it's like, I got to, do Oberyn Martell, the whole thing. So everyone was really, really impressed by that, really, really liked that. So a part of me was like, okay, I need to do better than what I did. I need to at least be on par with that. And then just kind of like the pressure to like say, hey, again, people are writing on how I present myself and my skill or whatever else. So like when it came down to the test for that sword, like I did more than what I probably should have really had to. So I did my thrust and I withdrew it, and then I just commenced to like, tear it apart. And
yes, you did.
And so like my mistake. Well, several mistakes, but my mistake that into the cut is that when I thrust into the ballistic gel dummy, that suction that happens is real. You know what I'm saying? So what I did is like I thrust, and then like I checked the body with my left hand, and then I did that. I drew this across my hand, and I made the best type of mistake I could possibly make, because when I cut my hand here, you can see it kind of pinch right there. The blade hit from the outside. You kind of off here. Here you go. The blade hit from here, and then it dug into the meat of my thumb, and then it just missed. Sorry, y'all are off. I'm off.
It's all right.
Yeah, I just missed that tendon there by the thumb, and any higher, I would easily have lost this type of mobility. Any lower, all that stuff would have been cut. And it was like a extremely profound awakening for me, because it's like you get too comfortable with stuff, and you forget that, like, this right here is life and death, and this right here could like change your life dramatically. Like when I was doing the test runs for the thrust, even like there were times when I'm doing it, but it's like not quite completely mindful that like, yeah, this is edged. Like just to give you an understanding of how sharp that was. Everyone was telling me I was going to feel lots of pain. I felt no pain whatsoever. Like it was so surgically sharp. I felt absolutely no pain, none. They went and they took me to the emergency room in Compton. So I'm in a Compton hospital, and like
Compton.
I'm, the doctors are probably they're like, okay, they come, they sew me up, and they put the thing on me, and the guy's taking me back to the hotel. I'm like, look, man, where are we going? Because they're still shooting, and he's like, yeah, I got orders to take you back to the hotel. I was like, nah, man. I was like, you need to take me back to set. And he's like, I can't do that. I was like, look, either you take me back to set right now, or I'm gonna walk from where we're at to set. But I'm going back to the set. So I went back to the set. He took me back to the set, and it was important for me, for people, because people were really worried about me. It was important for people to see that I was okay, that I was alive, functioning, not afraid. Because there was one, there was more for me to shoot, and two, just wanted to put people at ease that like I was okay. And then the day after being back on set, of course, I had to again kind of check my enthusiasm and check my ego, in a sense that, as much as I wanted to make the kind of showing, that I was doing, I had to take a step back personally, in order for myself to heal, and for them to be comfortable, and for it not to be, about me, and it be about the show. So that was an extremely important like learning lesson for me there.
Right.
So, But they
Wow.
took good care of me. Sorry it takes so much
No,
time.
no. That's what we're here for, man. Like that's what the people, Um, so my question was that before or after your other television experience with Knife or Death?
That was after.
That was
After.
after Knife or Death?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, hang tight for 1 second.
Fight through the first, fight through the second, not a problem at all.
Look at that shit.
Those downs were
Okay, so I was hyped. I was definitely hyped.
Second move.
Get that shit. Get it.
You need to hit it low. You need to hit it low. Okay, here's the problem here. He's going back, but he's going back. Beautiful, beautiful move. First weight hits the ground.
See, now he's attacking angle 1, angle 2. He keeps on moving.
Speed, power, efficiency.
Efficiency of moving.
Cross the line without the second weight, hitting the ground. Incurred 1 penalty there. Steps up to ice pick.
Get it. Get
it.
On that, he's making
Tearing that ice up, boy.
Wow.
Tearing it up.
That is a scary blade.
Get that shit.
There he goes.
Scary. I apologize for the language, but I was excited watching my friend do his thing on national TV. Look at focus.
Beautiful cut.
All right. Get that fish. Whole fish, baby. Come on. That whole fish, baby. You got it.
You need to swing as if your life depended.
And
And
damn fish.
a competitor. Look at the disappointment.
He was upset. He was upset, man.
Where'd he go wrong?
The follow through was great. I just didn't think he had enough blade to cut through it.
Sword fighting combat is measured in fractions of an inch. I missed the mark on the fish. I cut through the bone, but I just didn't have enough depth to finish the cut. We don't always get to have our hand raised at the end, but we do get to go back and train harder, be better.
That's
come back
right.
and fight again.
Go ahead, old head.
I'm big, right?
Yeah, that fish, man.
Man, they did us dirty. They did us so dirty on that. You know what they served us for lunch, right?
Fish. Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. Yes. That was lunch. I didn't even put two. I was in such a daze. I didn't put 2 and 2 together until like after the fact, man. Yes, that was lunch. Lunch was fish. Was salmon.
Oh,
yeah, man.
But listen, man, you had a heck of a run. I mean, you were skillful on that. You looked good up until that was the elimination part. There were people who didn't even make it that far. They had weapons failures and timed out and or gassed out. Just couldn't make it. So it was definitely a good show on Knife or Death.
Yeah. I want to say shouts out to like our Street Forge bladesmith Paul Terrier. Like he put that blade together for me like really fast under like the circumstances were dire. He like forged it, gave it to me, and I didn't even get a chance really to like test or to like know if that blade was actually going to do what it's supposed to do. Like when the guy, I forget his name, when he was like doing the test on a tatami, I had absolutely no idea if this knife or this sword could like cut. Like I held it like literally like in my hand. I spun it around. I cut some apples and I put it in a box and I sent it out to Atlanta. I had no idea, none whatsoever. And I was nervous because I didn't know what it was going to do. And then when they were showing us like what we were going to be cutting, and I'm like, y'all are out, y'all. What do you mean? Like we're cutting, with dowels and plastic and, steel and all that stuff.
Yeah, everything rocks. It was just gravel bags. Like I got but man, Paul Swords did the weapon did his thing.
Oh man, yeah, most definitely. Like when I bowed down, I took a knee, and lowered my head. That was real. That was 100% real. I had no idea like what was going to happen. I had no idea what this sword could do. And then like I think when I felt like that, when it cut through the dowels, like that's when I started feeling the power of it. And it's like that's like so there were certain rules like you couldn't run, and your feet couldn't leave the ground and stuff like that, right? But I moved as fast as I could without running.
Right.
But just to like get through the obstacle course. But like I felt like when the dowels start breaking, like I start feeling my
adrenaline.
I felt the energy go up, man. They edited out my little Egyptian battle cry I did at the end of the dowels.
No,
but
yeah.
they probably weren't ready for that, but
yeah. Well,
but
definitely a show, man. And you know, people are definitely taking notice of what you do. You got mentioned by Scholar Grimm.
Yeah.
For the folks who don't know who Scholar Grimm is, he has a weapons channel on YouTube. I mean, he has thousands of followers. Most of the HAMA guys, if you're doing HAMA, you know who Scholar Grimm is. And he recognize, you know, as they say around my way, real recognizes real. So he definitely recognized something in you and made a comment. And how did that comment affect you?
Man, I couldn't really understand the full effects of it because like when it happened, I was at work and he made the video on the sickle sword, and I'm at work. I'm working for an elementary school, so I got there's this firewall. Not that I was ever on my phone while I was at work, but you know, sometimes you know stuff posts up. You know, like if you get like an email or whatever else, and like I kept getting these YouTube like, hey, so and so saying this, so and so's this, and you know, I'm coming from that place of mind where it's like, you know, I'm waiting. So far, things have been pretty cool with people, but I'm waiting for those guys, those people who are trolls and are waiting to kind of like, you know,
the haters. They're always there.
Yeah, exactly. And so like I'm hearing all this stuff kind of go off on my YouTube. I'm like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? I can't get on Facebook to figure out what's happening. I can't get on YouTube to figure out what's happening. So when I got home from work, it was a Friday, and I saw that he had posted this video and that he shouted me out in this video. And I'm like, you know, oh, wow. All this attention from YouTube is coming from people who were like saying, hey, you know, we saw Scholar Grimm mentioned you. I'm subscribing. This weapon is cool. What you're doing is cool. And like, I just remember that whole weekend, that was the case. People were constantly like subscribing or commenting. And I was like, you know, it tripped me out because, you know, at the time, like my YouTube presence, like I don't think I was at 1,000. I think I was probably at like, maybe, I don't know, 600, 700 people or whatever else. And by that weekend, I had gained like, you know, I was up to the 2000s or so, maybe even more as far as subscribers. And for me, that was big. I was like, whoa, it was like, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, definitely always shout him out when I get an opportunity because, you know, you don't have, a person doesn't necessarily have to mention you, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's pretty solid of him to kind of shout me out and to do that because it's definitely helped my group, and it's definitely helped with gaining momentum for HAMA. So, you know, definitely always appreciate him for doing that. And there have been other people who've mentioned me when they didn't really have to mention, or they mentioned HAMA or invited us or included us. So, you know, definitely always really grateful for that kind of attention.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've done some speaking engagements. You've taught some classes here and there in the HAMA world. Yeah. You know, you were the last, you did a video with somebody out in Texas, and it was a very nice video. The gentleman, you know, wanted to learn how to use a Kopesh, and you did some Kopesh work with them, and then you did some spear work with them.
Yes.
And so the second you mentioned Egypt, the controversy begins.
Yeah.
So, and we're not even going there. We're not even gonna go there. And the trolls and the haters came out the woodwork. He said haters, and one of the good thing was that a lot of the hate was shot down.
Okay.
By pure facts, by pure common sense. Just all the ignorance was just shut. All the "we was kings" comments were shut down quickly. But there was one comment that I got on. This guy was talking about your spear work. Oh, he's probably never ever used a spear, and And I think I proceeded to put about 15 to 20 of your spear videos, up, and the silence was deafening. Just the gall of somebody, who you've done HAMA, you've done spear for a few years, just to look at a video and dismiss somebody as how do you know he's never fought? Right. So I want to show one of your spear fights. This is a competition from I think this was WMAW 2019.
Okay.
Your spear fights. Devon, you should be able to unmute your mic and talk over this. Tell the folks where.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. The funny thing is, there's a tradition now at WMAW. I think this is. Let me see. I think this is Vader I'm fighting. Let me see the hair. Yeah, I think it's Vader. He usually wears a green Gambit-Person. But yeah, so my first year out there, I did really well with the spear, and he heard about it, and he likes playing spear as well. So kind of my last day there, kind of came at me and said, "Hey man, you did pretty good at the spear. Like let's get it on." So each time I see him, we'll engage in a match. So I believe this is kind of our third year encounter with each other.
You don't know what you're doing. You have no idea what you're doing right now. There was another video. I believe it was from this. You did a very beautiful Somali spear and buckler fight against Vikings shield. I unfortunately wasn't able to grab that video, but I believe the gentleman was teaching a class on Viking spear, and the two of you just went in.
Yeah, actually, it was actually my class. I was teaching a spear and shield, and he joined in. Again, this guy is like the guy. Things rolling. Unfortunately, I can't pronounce his last name, but he's like one of those YouTube powerhouses in HAMA, especially in Viking Age, in Viking Age combat.
Right.
So he did the class with me, and he's noted for his footwork and his movement, and we were doing the class, and a couple of people were we were on a break, and they're like, "Hey, how about you were rolling, go at it for a little bit?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm teaching the class, and I'm teaching the class, and I don't know if he wants to, put him under pressure like that. And then he's like, he translated for me. He's like, what they want is like, they want to see the two of us go at it. So I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? And we played around, very respectful, lots of movement, lots of interactions and stuff.
I mean, the grip changes, it's not easy fighting spear one-handed, and people understand that. And the two, what the two of you put on, I'm gonna say it was a ballet of combat.
Thank
you. The movements of both of you, it was just, and then the final legs, when you slashed, it was leg slash, man, like this is crazy. Like everybody loved it. That was an amazing so that was the culmination of that same weekend, correct?
Yes, it was. Okay. So the emphasis of that weekend was spear. So there's a lot of spear work going on at WMAW. Okay. So that was like the focus of it for the most part.
Okay. So how long have you been doing spear work?
I'm going to be honest with you. Let me before I say this. I am mediocre at best with spear.
Okay.
I mean, you've
been practicing with it for so long.
God, you're terrible, man.
I mean,
oh, that's evil.
I know. Yeah, I set that up. I mean, you're what, 20 right there?
Oh my God.
I mean, baby dreads up there.
Yeah. That was man.
Afro samurai thing.
See, people don't understand Afro samurai. Like that was me in my 20s, like on the real, like even before Ghost Dog, before Afro Samurai, before all that stuff. Like I was straight up. I was that
Afro
dude.
Samurai.
Yeah, I was that dude. That was me.
You told us the story at the gathering.
No.
About your one and only time LARPing.
Gosh, yeah.
That was a great story. And I think our fans would like to hear
it. You know what? I was digging a hole today for my wife. And I was like, he's probably going to bring up this LARPing stuff. I'm going to go ahead and prepare myself to tell this story. So, okay. I'll tell this story.
Good.
All right. As you can tell from that, yeah, that image is directly from that time period. Okay. So, so, all right. I went through this weird stage, like after high school, right? Trying to figure out my direction. And it was like, I've always been a martial arts geek nerd. When I was young, that was like life for me. Like I was a dude that thought that girls really liked guys that could kick real high and do all like the fancy martial arts stuff. So I honed those skills from my youth. And so I have a lot of time in that. So a friend, at some point I got really into samurais and really into Bushido. Like I was like on some like it was like some serious like real stuff. I came across Musashi's work when I was 13. I remember something kind of like tragic happening to me, like when I say tragic, remind you, I'm like 18, 19. So tragic, at that time is like something simple, but it felt like tragic to me at the time. And like, I had brought this, two bokken from Okinawa. And I got them because I liked the wooden weapons and I never really learned how to use them when I was there. And I just remember like kind of sitting and kind of like trying to figure out myself. And I saw this bokken in the corner and I'm like, you know what? I think it's time for me to like, figure out how to use this thing. So I really started getting into Bushido and into Kenjutsu and Japanese swordsmanship. And of course, anime fueled all that stuff. So I had that kind of going for me. And then I also had, as I'm doing this, I'm also researching and learning about, African history and learning about the kingdoms and the empires and stuff. So a friend of mine, this guy named, I'm going to put him on blast, Glenn Cagle, he was like, hey, there's this thing that we do on the weekends where we get these padded swords and we go and we fight. And I'm like, oh, word? Like, yeah, it's like you can test your sword out against anybody. I'm like, oh, really? Like I get to go and do challenges and all that kind of stuff. Like, really? For real? Like for real? Yeah. Guys, this is like in the early 90s too, mind you. All right. So I'm like, all right. So I'm gonna make some padded swords, right? Man, I went and I found like the thickest piece of PVC that I could hold in my hand. And I found I probably tore up one of my mom's couches or something to find some couch foam, some duct tape, and I wrapped this like big monstrosity sword up the night before. Like I was serious. Like I'm like dead serious. Like I fasted.
You got some work to do. Yeah.
I fasted the day before, and mom, I told my mom, I'm like, hey, I'm going out because she lived kind of far out from where they were having the park. So I went out there, like I walked out there. It was like several miles. Like I walked several miles just to get to the spot because I wanted to have that experience, right? So I show up and the dudes are like, yeah, we're talking. They're looking at my club sword. They're like, yeah, man, we don't know if we can let you fight with that one there, but you can borrow this one here. So okay. So just kind of a reflection of where I was at the time, like my character, because I was like, okay, you got to make a character. So like, all right. So I'm into samurai stuff, but I'm also into the African stuff. So it's like I was like a Moorish Songhai knight from Ethiopia that was a samurai.
Okay. It works for me. Go ahead. Yeah.
That was my blend, right?
Okay.
So we did these pitch battles. So it's basically like two teams, you go in, you fight, you get hit in the arm, you lose the arm, hit in the leg, lose the leg, hit in the body, you're dead, lose 2 limbs, you're done, right? So man, like I'm doing that and I'm like, I'm going off, it's like, bam, I'm tearing people up and making the name for myself, right? So I get invited to do this big battle, right? It's like it was a game battle, it was like called Save the Princess, right? And they divided us up into 2 teams, and we're all on the battlefield in the woods and stuff, and like people just kind of going about doing their thing, and I'm with this guy. He's like a Klingon, right? It's like a Klingon, and then there's a werewolf dude that's with me, right? And we're just like we're watching the fight, and I'm like, hey guys, I got an idea. I know how we can we can take them. Okay, what I didn't say is that they had the other team that had the princess, they had like a wizard, they had a healer, and they had an archer, right? And they were tearing us up, right? They were tearing us up completely, right? So I'm jumping out and I'm fighting people, I'm killing and whatever else, right? And this dude comes at me and he throws some stuff at me, right? So I'm like, bam! I block it. And like, I'm about to put it into him because that was his only weapon. And he's like, boom, you're frozen, freeze frame. I'm like, what is that? It's like, you got to count to 1,000 and then you can re-enter the fight. I was like, I've never counted to 1,000 on purpose ever. So I'm sitting there, I'm frozen and I'm pissed off. I'm like, what is all this? Because in the pitch battles, it was just fighting. It wasn't like magic or anything. So I'm sitting there off counting to 1,000, and I was like, I'm gonna get this dude, right? So, anyways, I'm unfrozen. I joined my Klingon friend and my werewolf friend. I'm like, look, man, look, the archer's taking us out, the wizard's putting the end to us, and they got a healer. I know what we have to do. While everybody's fighting in front, let's go ahead and go around to the side and hit them from the side. Like, let's do that. And they're like, nah, dude, I'm gonna go ahead and continue to fight in the front. So I'm like, all right, man. I was like, it seems like no one really cares if this woman gets saved or not, so I'm gonna have to go and save the day.
You gotta save the princess. That's what we do, bro. Go ahead.
So, I had 2 swords. And like I started running, right? And I'm running through the woods. I'm running, bam, bam. Everyone's fighting over here, and I'm running through the woods. I'm every anime song that you hear when they doing business is what's going on in my head, right? Like I'm hearing all of it, right? Ducking through stuff. I'm running, and I can see the battlefield, right? This is ridiculous. I come out from the side, right? Like I burst through the trees to the side, and the archer is doing his thing, right? He's like taking folks out, right? No problem. He turns around and looks at me, and it's like, and I swear I came out from the woods with like the biggest like cut slash. I cut him so hard. I hit him with my padded sword so hard that like I slipped. I lost balance forward and I slid on the gravel, right? Took out 2 more people, stood up. Like I killed the archer, I killed the wizard, and I killed the healer, right? And like my sword hand is chewed up from the gravel. So there's like blood dripping from my hands. And I'm holding both of these swords and I'm panting. And like I've killed the whole rear line or whatever is done. Like they're done. And so like I see the guy that runs the fights. He starts walking towards me, and the way he's walking towards you is like, if you ever been in trouble, you know what I'm saying, when your dad catch you, doing the wrong thing, your mom, your grandma, they like, okay, they need to come and school you. So he walks up to me, and I'm like, I knew what he was gonna say. I was like, yeah, so maybe I got a little bit out of control. I was like, yeah. I was like, I should probably go home now, right? He's like, yeah, you probably should go home right now. So yeah.
Woo! That is a good one. That is a good one. That is a good one. But they learned the day, didn't they? They learned that day who Stith was.
Yes. Someone that takes that sword stuff serious.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
Yes. Good times, man. Good times. But so there was another part to that as you're walking away.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding. And that was actually a separate day.
Okay.
Because it was 2 weekends that I did. The first time I fought primarily in the pitched battles, and the second time I came back is when I got to fight in that game. But so after fighting the pitch battle, I was tired, and I was I had fasted and I had walked like at least like 5 miles to get there. And then I fought, and this is in Texas. This is summertime. This is Texas summer. Like, it's no joke. I mean, without global warming, it's no joke. I don't think there was global warming back then.
I felt that Texas heat.
Yeah.
It's for real.
I was walking to get water, right? And like I'm taking all my stuff with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm dragging my stuff. And then like, out of the side, these 2 guys came out, man, and they had like, they had Boken, and like, they stopped on my path in front of me and they bowed to me. And I was like, oh, can I curse?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was like, oh shit, this is about to go down. It's about to happen. These fools are about to challenge me to it's about to happen. So I dropped my stuff. They bowed to me in respect, and they were like, yeah, we saw you fight, and we were impressed, by your fighting, and it's like, we would like to invite you to train with us, to be our student. And so like I don't know, like I be on some shit sometimes, you know what I'm saying? I be on that samurai shit or whatever. Yeah. And I can't remember my exact words I told them, but I basically told them like, thank you, I'm honored, you honor me. But like, I have my own path that I have to find, and, walked away from them at that point in time. All dramatic night too. Of course, I heard.
I think everybody is glad that you took your own path, because it's led to some very, very interesting things. It's led you here to be the vice president of this organization. It's led you to, to be on TV. So I think you took the right path there.
Most definitely.
Yeah. I got a couple questions. So let's talk about some weapons. What's your, if you could pick two traditional African weapons to go into battle with, what would they be?
Yeah, that's a hard one. That's a very hard one for me.
Okay. You got two picks.
I got two picks. Oh man.
Main weapons. Main. We're not talking side weapons.
Yeah.
You have a couple daggers on you, but two main weapons. What's your two mains?
I think I mean, definitely I don't get as much, like, I don't think that I'm as recognized for this weapon. But it was like my first love as far as like those as the weapons go. It has to be like the Takoba, and oh man, and I go between like, yep. You know what was funny about that picture is that I was working at this glass place called Glass Mountain Optics, and this was like right before the internet became really, really big as it is. You know, it was there, but Google was not like near what it was. But I remember looking up Tuareg swords, because that was honestly the first time I had seen like brown skinned people, you know, carrying swords, and that like really did a lot for me as a young man. Yep. So seeing that image like really had an effect on me. So I was doing a search on Tuareg swords, and I came across that image of those four swords from the Vikingsword.org, the ethnography forum. And I remember telling myself that one day I will be able to have my own Takoba. And so that was
Okay. Takoba. So tell where's this Takoba from?
So the Takoba is most famously associated with the Tuareg people, but it is like maybe the quintessential sword in the Western Sahel. So you'll find it in the Fulani, the Hausa, the Yoruba, and they all use a version of it to some extent. So,
any idea of the time frame of its use?
Well, definitely it's still in use today. Okay. It's hard to say. I mean, I think some of the earliest surviving examples we have in circulation, there are some blades that are like 14th century, 14th century Italian blades that are remounted Takoba style. But even going a little bit before that, I think that one of the earliest Takobas would be a Mamluk double-edged sword that is found or that is in the museums. Now, whether that form was imported into Africa, or, and what I kind of believe is that the double-edged straight swords had evolved in Africa, you know, because it's a very simple utilitarian shape, that it derived eventually from longer knives and daggers that were used by people that were further to the east. And you'll see like in Nubia, these types of double-edged daggers, and even sometimes in some of the iconography, some of the scabbarding looks like the stuff that you'll find in more in the Eastern Sudan and Central Sudan. So I honestly think that the straight swords evolved from these long daggers at some point as metallurgy and smithing got more advanced. They were able to make longer swords. And then I think that with what really muddles the water when trying to ascertain like the time period is, you know, the number of trade blades that entered into Africa from the Middle East and from Europe. It kind of gives like a false dating, but you know, we have to understand that the trade blade market, they were marketing a certain, they were fulfilling a certain local demand, and I just feel like the blades were it came to a point where it was more cost effective to import blades into the region than it was to produce, because to produce on a scale where you're competing with Europe is like you needed to have, it wasn't like necessarily a matter of skill or knowledge of how to build a furnace that could require the right temperatures. It was a matter of having fuel, which we don't really think about that. We think about Africa as being well forested, but in these regions there's not a lot of fuel to kind of support that level of industry. So I think that it was cheaper and easier to import blades in, and these blades were based on the local demand. So I feel like these Takobas were, I think if you look at like places like in Cameroon, the Mandara Mountains, you'll see like these shorter broadswords that are like, I think that they're kind of what I would call proto Takoba blades, and you can see how maybe longer, more reliable steel from other places supplanted these local blades, and it's just like my working theory. So yeah.
Right.
Okay, blade number 2. Probably will have to say the Chotel. Did I get that one right, Osa? Yeah, the Chotel. Yep, the Chotel.
Yes, the Chotel. What is it about the Chotel that you admire so much?
For me, the Chotel was like an underdog, right? Because it was like a lot of like 19th century European explorers like really like spoke ill about the Chotel, and even about the people that used them. Like I believe like there's a book, I don't know the author, the title is The Art of Attack. And it goes through all of these cultures and it breaks down their weapons and how they were used and stuff. And I just remember the author saying something to the effect when talking about the people that used the Chotel, that like, this sword was never, how does he say? This sword was never the sword of a race of swordsmen. You know what I'm saying? It never belonged to a people that really knew how to fight with a sword. Is in essence what he was saying. And he was just going about how ridiculous the shape was. And, so for me, what I wanted to do with the Chotel, because I from my background, I've done a lot. I've had a lot of, even though like, again, I'm more focus on the Western Sahel, like I kind of feel a deep connection to the Western Sahel, but I've also felt like a very close connection to Ethiopia through different parts of my life. So I really wanted to kind of take that weapon and try to elevate myself through it, and try to bring greater attention to the possibilities that this sword poses, and just to kind of strike at what like a Victorian swordsman may have thought about any indigenous or traditional culture that was didn't fight in the same fashion. Because that's another aspect, is that they viewed fighting with a shield and a sword kind of antiquated, and they didn't hesitate to kind of make that point very, very clear. On the other side of that, what's really good, it's kind of like, so part of my research of it is like looking at 19th century accounts. So I get to read a lot of really interesting stuff, especially in regards to how the natives, fought and, stuff. But there was one author that actually spoke, because it's usually that's the answer. Burton says, I had to go there and teach them how to fight, how to parry and attack, how to parry with the sword and not use the shield. And I would just simply, attack, feign an attack, and they would raise their shield and blind themselves by their shield. And then I would get them all the time. And, Burton was talking about that kind of stuff. And a lot of people have kind of echoed his sentiment. There was one guy, and I hate that every time I get asked, when I get asked about this, I forget his name. I believe it was Ryder. He mentioned actually how adept the Abyssinians, the Ethiopians, were at using their shields, and he spoke very highly of their skill. And said that he mentioned, like, on the battlefield, it wasn't uncommon, because he said quite clearly that the shield was proof against the saber. It was proof against it. Like, he was not uncommon for you to be on a battlefield and see a guy with a shield that had like 30 cuts, but this person had been killed by a gunshot at close quarters. You know what I'm saying? So he spoke very highly about the shield work of the Ethiopians. And that's kind of like the mixed bag you kind of get when you're looking through that kind of source material, is you get some stuff that's reaffirming and some stuff that is like filtered through the times.
Well, let's see some more of your shield work here.
Okay. Yeah. Still hate looking at myself.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah. Ah, man. Yeah. I'm trying. Shield is a.
Smooth. Yeah.
Thank you. When I see that kind of stuff, I see all my flaws and what I need to work on. The shield is such an interesting piece, and as I go, it's a real simple piece of armor. It's a simple piece of armor, and I think the movements are simple, but it's in this complexity of interacting with these simple techniques, these simple principles, that makes for a complex interaction with the shield. And that's what I'm experiencing for myself, because, of course, when we think about the sword, we typically think without the shield, because we're looking at other cultures that have like more, it's featured more in like popular culture or in history or whatever else in media. So, we think about long swords or katanas, or we think about the jin or the dao or things like that, or in the Filipino martial arts, the shorter blades. But like when it comes to like the sword and the shield, it's like we have to kind of like, for me, it's like almost like a reset. But I like the interplay between the sword and the shield, and then the strategies of kind of moving yourself, behind the shield, so that it's like you're using the shield as like an obstruction in a sense, where I'm going one way and you come to get me there, but I'm moving myself around the shield to get to the other side, or even like creating this idea of closeness by extending your shield out, and it creates this like, okay, we're really close to each other, but I'm close enough to hit you, but you're not close enough to hit me. It just seems that you are able to hit me, but you can't. Right. So like I should say it's a lost art, but it's I don't think that the subtleties of it.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Most definitely.
Appreciate it. Yes,
yeah.
Yes. Well, I have one more video of you. This is from the Short Blade Symposium. No shield, but you are fighting Shotel. Now, all of these videos, I don't know if you won or not. So, don't get mad if I showed the one where you lost and not the one where you won. I just grabbed them joints to throw them up. So let's check this. So you're using the Shotel backwards, not point forward this time.
Yeah. Now there's a bit of confusion about that. So I was under the understanding.
You were still ready to go, right?
This arm is 2 points.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. There was about to be a spinning kick that was going to come from that one. Yeah.
Controversy about the Shotel.
Yeah, so my understanding of the rules of because the Shotel as a weapon, that kind of hooking thrust, it digs deep. It hits pretty hard. And from my understanding is that they told me that I had to use it. I had to use it the more like a saber.
Right.
So that's why I'm using it that way. But apparently, I misunderstood the rules of the match, and that I could have used it like a sickle.
Good honor.
Yeah. So I just had to use it in one way. I couldn't switch from sickle to saber or whatever else. At least that's what I understood after. But hey, still I don't know if you know this, but I'm
Nice shot.
I'm probably a month or two after my hand had healed from that injury on set.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I am personally kind of going through probably one of the darkest periods of my life as an adult, and wasn't mentally prepared for the fight. I went down there to
You're doing great, man. You look clean, real clean. Good job,
man. I can't remember the name of the guy that was coaching me. He was really nice. Came out to kind of be my corner man. Some stuff to kind of happen with that, but so.
What do you want to call?
I'm listening to him talk. I haven't watched this video at all in a long time.
Yeah.
But so I didn't really prepare for the fight, but I was going there to kind of show support to Morgan and to to show support for him. And this was the first time HAMA was featured in that symposium. So so it was for me, whether I went there with the assumption that I was not going to win, because in order to actually get there, I made an arrangement with Mike Turba's group in the same area. And they actually helped me to get down there because I did a workshop with them the day after. So I did a workshop with Mike Turba's group, and in order to help me get a plane ticket to get there. And then so when I got there, the tournament, and again, this is me, it's kind of like reading things wrong or whatever. Well, the tournament was going to be 1 day tournament, and I guess the next day was going to be the test cutting. And I was like, hey, I'm just going to go do the tournament. I don't really care about winning or losing. I'm gonna do the tournament, and then the next day I'll go and teach this workshop. And then I've pretty much showed respect and honor to Morgan for the invitation, and then I've gotten to kind of work with these guys up in the same area. So I was, and he asked me that same question when we were talking, because it was a bit of a logistical issue. And Morgan asked me, he's like, well, what happens if you go to the finals? And I was like, I'll just take a knee. It's fine. I'm just going there to show respect. I don't really care about, it feels good to win, but I don't really have to win as long as I don't embarrass myself. And if I show that I, fought with grace and with courage, and that people walk away from the interaction saying, oh, wow, that HAMA is good fighters or good stuff, then that's not to sound corny, but that's reward enough for me. So I managed. Some people say the Shotels are not double-sided, but the examples that I've seen that they are double-sided. Just to answer a question. Thank you, Beast Within, for answering that.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I had a great time fighting, and I wanted to just say something real fast. I probably shouldn't say this, but it was going back to the spear thing.
Okay.
Back to the spear thing. The spear and I have I guess I'm not mediocre at it or whatever else, but I have this love-hate for it. I really do like it, but I've been on the other end of the spear so many times from a good friend of mine who's a far better fighter with a spear than me. I have a deep respect for it, a profound respect for the spear. It does not get the same amount of credit and respect that it deserves as far as weapons goes. And I'm going to say this as nice as possible. I live in Austin, Texas. I'm not the best fighter with the spear. I'm not the best fighter with a sword, but I'm happy to put on pads and fight with anyone that wants to talk in that way.
Right.
Again, I'm not the best. I'm not the worst. But you know, I am willing to do that.
Yeah,
So
I hear you. They heard you. They heard
okay.
you.
Just if you got any questions?
Right.
I'm not about to find.
Okay. Well, Damon, thank you. Thank you for the interview. Thank you. It was a magnificent time. That is the perfect way to end this. Everybody knows where to find you.
Yes.
Austin, Texas. They can also locate you.
But don't come to my house.
No, don't go to your house. Just show up in Austin and say, "What's up, Damon?" And then he'll come find you.
Yes.
But they can also find you on YouTube. You have a YouTube page.
Mm-hmm.
They can find you on the HAMA main page, the Historical African Martial Arts main page on Facebook, as well as our website.
Right.
If they want to find you, all they got to do is Google you, because that's where you are. So once again, I want to thank you, Damon, for joining us. Hopefully this will be the first of many interviews. Anything you want to say in closing?
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity to for us to kind of like wrap. You know, it's like I know that we're live and everyone is kind of checking us out, but this is kind of like a chance for us just to kind of sit down and talk. It feels like we're in the same spot, and I love technology and the opportunities to be able to do this. Thank you all for your support for supporting me, for supporting HAMA. Please continue to pay that forward by sharing these videos, joining the HAMA members page on Facebook. We have a lot of really good stuff there and a lot of good stuff happening in the future. Once all this COVID stuff is ended and things are going back to normal, we're going to be having our second gathering in Philly, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of really good things going on. Thank y'all for your support. Please continue to support us and let us know what we can do to make your experience with HAMA better and more fulfilling. And, thank y'all.
Thank you very much, Damon. Appreciate everything. So fans, I want to thank you. This was definitely interesting for me. This whole HAMA Live project has been it's been special to me because I've got to interview some people that I wanted to talk to for a very long time. So thank you, and hopefully you'll be here for the next one.